I am standing next to Willi Galloway, the author of Grow, Cook, Eat. And how are you, Willi? It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good morning. Hello.
So now, your book's been out for almost a year.
Yep.
Let's talk about some of the questions that you've been receiving and some answers to those.
Yeah, well, I get a lot of questions about harvesting. I think when people are new to gardening, or even if have been gardening for a while but they're growing new things, they're not quite sure, what parts of the plant to harvest and what's edible, what's not, when to harvest. So I get a lot of questions about that.
Well, Willi, that brings up a really good point, because one of the things that I found interesting in the book was you don't just talk about, let's grow this tomato and then eat this tomato, or grow this carrot and eat this carrot. You also talk about the parts of the plant that, as Americans, we generally don't even think about eating, like with carrot tops.
Oh yeah, stuff gets tossed out into the compost all the time that's good to eat. And a real advantage of being a gardener is you get to observe a plant through its whole life cycle, and you get to sample it too. So, beets at the grocery store are usually this big around. You might like beets when they're this big around. And so when you're growing your own...
Stop it, you're crazy.
I know. So you get to really try things at different stages, and then you can eat the beet greens when they're the size of your palm and good in a salad, or bigger, and you can cook them like spinach. So as a gardener, you just really have access to really fresh food, really good food, and interesting food that's not available at grocery stores.
So Willi, let's talk about some of the vegetables that might be difficult for people to know when to harvest.
Oh, sure. So, when you grow tomatoes, you have an opportunity to grow all sorts of tomatoes that aren't red. One of my favorites is green zebra, which is green when it's ripe. Yeah. So, how do you know when to harvest? And with tomatoes, you want to touch the tomato. It should give a little bit, if you lean in and smell the fruit, it should smell like a tomato. On the red ones, they should be fully colored up to their shoulders. But mainly, if you squeeze the tomato and it still feels hard, it's not quite ripe. It should just give slightly when you touch it. So
you're really talking about using all of your senses, not just your eyes, to tell ripeness.
Yeah, and then when you're planting, a lot of times on the seed packet or on the little tag, it'll say 58 days or 70 days. If you can just kind of keep in mind when you planted and then that date, that'll give you an idea when things should be ready to harvest. Carrots are one that sometimes people, or beets, that people are, they're under the ground. How do you know if they're ready? You don't pull one up every week just to see? No. And so with carrots, if you kind of pull the soil away, if they're about the size of a nickel or bigger, then usually the root is going to be the same width as the top. So you want the top of the carrot to look like a mature carrot before you give it a wiggle to pull it out.
Well, now, one of the great things about having Willi on the show today is she's also going to be appearing at Fall Fleeing, which is happening in Dallas, Oregon.
Yes.
And tell us about what you're going to be talking about there, Willi.
So that's on September 8th, and I'm going to be talking about all the great food in your garden, and I'm going to go through everyone's favorite plants, the different stages of harvest, all the edible parts, throw out some ideas on how to cook them, and there will be a Q&A so we can really have a conversation. Nice. It'll be great.
Nice. Well, now, if this interests you and you can't make it to the Fall Fleeing, you can still get the book. Where can they go to find the book?
They can go to my blog, which is digginfood.com, and it's all at bookstores and Anthropology, Williams-Sonoma.
Well, Willi, it is always a pleasure to spend time with you. And for more information, go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over to Willi's blog and website. Thank you so much, Willi.
Thank you.